Welcome to another edition of ClearTalk. I'm Roman Burchart, VP of Operations at Solutions 360, and I'm joined today by one of the many people in our organization that spend their days working with customers and really have customer interest in mind. John Lyall, Customer Success Manager. Hi, John.
Hey, Roman. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, it's great to be here with you today, and excited to talk about a topic that is actually very important, but unfortunately, a lot of companies maybe don't spend nearly as much time on this topic as they should, and that being the topic of disaster recovery, and maybe more importantly, business continuity. But John, maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about what you understand. You understand what we mean when we say disaster recovery, and what kind of conversations you're having with customers about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about business continuity and disaster recovery, really we're talking about any type of very impactful system event that's going to disrupt companies' operations there. And definitely, I think it's something that it's kind of like preparing for a fire drill at school. It's not necessarily something that's a lot of times top of mind, but if you're in a scenario where you do need to put these types of practices in place, really it's something that I encourage my customers to really think about as part of their mission critical operations. What are we going to do if something very impactful to our business occurs? How are we going to manage that, and what the plan is in place to work against that?
Yeah, and I think two very distinct things, right? Disaster recovery and business continuity. They both really go hand in hand. But historically, I think there was this the feeling, okay, disaster recovery. When you look way back in the day, it was, oh, we have a hard drive failure. Do we have a backup? Can we restore our critical IT systems? And that's still a little part of it. Actually, still a big part of it. But it really does go beyond that now, because with so many companies obviously working remotely. Companies are relying on service providers for, their critical IT infrastructure, and it really goes so much further beyond that, because we're relying on all these different systems for communication, and running our business. So, what happens when there is an unexpected event and we can't use our standard communication, tools? What kind of plans do we have in place to again, just get that out to our team to say, hey, we can't use the tools that we're used to. We need to switch to plan B, so that we can go about our day. That all those different things go into really what we're talking about when we talk about, again, really business continuity and maintaining that continuity and being able to continue our business when we run into an event. What other things are you talking to customers about, or have you seen? I'm sure you probably even have had some conversations with customers with less than ideal outcomes when it comes to something like this.
Yeah, I think two big things, Roman. I think the first thing that I think about as being a customer focused resource is, if one of our customers has a system disruptive event, what type of communication do they have in place with their customers? And, are we being proactive to get in front of any issues and help manage them once we're aware of something? Is it our customer letting us know, hey, this issue occurred, or, are we able to get in front of it and contact them proactively? To give them a call or reach out to them directly, and letting them know, what we know, and what steps are being put in place. So, there's really the management of external stakeholders, keeping them up to date and really managing the flow so you're proactive and not reactive. I think the other part of it too, like you mentioned, all companies are working with data, and we're very data driven these days, and things are working in real time. A lot of our customers are working with a third party IT resource to help manage the IT side of things. And, sometimes they might just leave it at that and say, they have it covered. But, really, again, using the analogy of kind of the school fire drill, are we, running certain scenarios where we have to, deploy a backup? Are we familiar and comfortable with those steps that, if we're faced in that situation, we know how long it's going to take. And if there's anything unexpected at that point, really that's when things become very problematic. So, understanding what needs to be done in those types of scenarios internally and both externally is really critical.
Yeah, I think, not taking anything really for granted, right? I mean, like you said, a lot of companies are relying on a third party for these types of things, and when we look at disaster recovery plans, it's really about identifying, and kind of thinking about what is our risk, right? Who's involved in that risk? Again, as you said, do we have the proper data backups? And then, what is that communication plan? Not just, again, I mentioned a little bit, working with our team internally. How do we communicate when our primary communication tools aren't available? But to your point there, how do we communicate to others when there might be a disruption, to our business, or how do we give them the tools so that they can still contact, or their customers can still contact them, so they can, deploy a technician or what have you and get somebody on site. And then, again, that last piece there, right, of testing, right, and ensuring that, things like your disaster recovery plan, are sound, and that you can get your data back when you need it. I know we've seen customers have come to us and needed help because they've ransomware is a big thing that people are up against these days too, and that can be extremely disruptive. So you really want to make sure that you're testing these backups, that these plans that you have in place, they are sound, probably reviewing them on a regular basis, at least annually, testing certainly more frequently than that's, probably a good best practice, just in order to ensure that you have, your position as best as you can, right, in order to, come out of one of these events, on the right side of it.
Yeah. Just to add to that too, when I think about these types of issues, really, I'm really thinking about the reputational impact it has on businesses, and it's very tough to build and earn that reputation. It can be taken away very quickly if there is some type of disaster recovery event or business continuity event that impacts your organization. It's not well managed. Very hard to recover from that. So really, it's kind of in the tough times that you're able to respond well. People know they have a business partner they can rely on. So, when you're a scenario where you have to deploy some of these tools, the more prepared you are, the better you're going to be for it at the end of the day.
Yep, absolutely. And and I think again, to keep in mind as well that when you look at business continuity, it's more than just your IT team or your management team. You really do need to train your employees, train your staff, make sure everybody understands what the communication protocols are. Again, what are those critical functions? What are the ones that, we need to ensure, stay running in the event, of an issue? And like I said, it's not always, IT, related. It's not always something that we can control, especially with, there's the incidents that happen all the time where cell phones don't work like they were intended, or how are we going to communicate with our teams, and how do we really keep our business thriving, right, when there are these incidents, and hopefully we can get through them as quickly as we can. So, well, John, with that, thanks for joining me today. Appreciate your time, and look forward to future discussions around this topic with our customers.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.